A man needs a purpose. And I've been learning that and feeling that, especially deeply as of late. Because I've spent most of my life walking within purposelessness. An aimless wandering ghost. Paralyzed by his own uncertainty. And I faced that quite deeply today. We're at the root of my uncertainty, at the root of my purgatorial oscillations away from my own purpose. It's like this weak part of me that's afraid to make a single choice, regardless of what that choice is. And so stuck in fear that no matter what I choose or don't choose, fear itself becomes the only choice I choose. And thus paralysis, uncertainty, doubt becomes not merely purgatory, but hell itself. Because fear is the source of hell. Fear is that which hell feeds upon. One of the sources of my fear, one of the sources of my doubts, one of the old stories that I feel paralyzed by, that I feel entrapped in, is the uncertainty as to how to determine what is true and what is false. There is a duality in this world. There are many dualities. But there is especially a duality being played out between duality and non-duality. Between the duality of good and evil and of Western thinking that is more oriented by reason, so to speak, so-called. And then more Eastern ways of non-dual, breath-oriented. Blurring of the boundaries between the categories we create of right and wrong, of good and evil, of this and that, of north and south, of up and down, of left and right, of I and other, of mind and heart, of soul and body. All of these dualities which multiply and bifurcate into realities we cannot see. Can only imagine, lest we come to feel them. And one of the dualities which my mind has cultivated into a form of paralysis and perpetual dubitability, perpetual doubt, skepticism, reason or feeling, reason or intuition, mind or heart, is one superior to the other? Is one more axiomatically inclined towards certitude certainty is one, the cornerstone of truth at the expense of the other, is the reason apparatus of my mind, the one that says this is true and this is false. Is my mind that which I should use to judge and determine that which is true for me, and thus the purpose that I should choose to orient my life into? Or is truth a feeling within my heart? Is truth something deeply intuitive which cannot be grasped by the mind? Does truth somehow contain both truth and falsity within it? My mind says that sounds absolutely absurd. What the fuck? Does the truth of my experience transcend the mind's desire to categorize whether one of my feelings is right, one of my feelings is wrong? Oh, I shouldn't be feeling this within my body, within my heart. This is not how it's supposed to be. This is not how God, all-knowing and all-perfect, has ordained it. This is a conflict, a war within my microcosm, within my body, within my being, within my emanation of the soul which I am. Where my mind oscillates within its own dualities, and my heart simply feels, and the remainder of my body has its impulses, has its automatic behaviors, has its more fluid behaviors in alignment with the sacred intelligence of my body. And somehow I am touching upon not only a difficulty in bringing all of these different energies which try to speak of and touch upon the truth, and to bring all of these aspects of my own self into balance. Into a primordial balance. Into a divine balance. Into a balance that not only resembles but embodies that golden thread of perfection between inhalation and exhalation. The seamless convergence of dyadic being into one. The seamlessness of divine breath, which weaves its way into the song of birds. The slow and seamless breath which weaves the seasons together into one, in a quadrelemental convergence of ethereal becoming. How can I be in harmony with that fundamental element of the world, the element of co-constituency and infinitude, carrying the omnipresent breath of God into itself? How can I be in harmony with that innate harmony of being, of nature, if my mind is at war with every one of my body's attempts, heart included, to speak that harmony, to emanate that harmony, to embody that harmony, to be that harmony? What do I do with the doubts of my mind from whatever scripts and fears and protective patterns when they tell me that that inner desire for harmony, for homeostasis, for connection with my heart, for love, that somehow these could be deception? Labyrinthine depths of my own mind, as well as labyrinthine depths of samsara itself. For here, I am touching upon the pinprick of universal suffering, seen through human eyes. And somehow within it all, and within the labyrinth, I must choose my way. Which way? A lot of people say the only way out is through. So that when I'm facing the bifurcations and doldrums of my uncertainty, I know myself to be paralyzed by fear. So regardless of what I choose, one choice that I know can help me is fearlessness. A fearlessness found in faith. And in the felt sense of freedom. Maybe true, maybe illusory, but felt. that comes from aligning my choices and my actions as much as possible, as much as my will allows, as much as my will conjures. To align myself in every action with my faith, with God. With the belief that at the very least, the systems that I see within this world, which I know for a fact to be false, which I know for a fact to suppress freedom, which I know for a fact to be rooted in fear, I can at the very least walk fearfully, walk fearlessly towards the dissolution of these systems, in faith that this calling that I have within my heart to revolutionize, to liberate, as within so without, to destroy illusions and to call them for what they are, and to stand up against false authorities which seem coded and designed to suppress freedom. Both my mind and my heart, as well as the rest of my body, feel a need to fight for freedom, to stand for freedom, for freedom. Fearlessly and for God. Where perhaps the purpose itself is within the quest, within the uncovering within the choosing of certainty and certitude within particular axioms. I'm realizing this is the way of the philosopher. To write a book which starts with this axiom and then follows it to the next and then to the next and writes an entire tractatus about this is my truth declaration about the meaning of life and the metaphysical orientation of reality towards its own self to reflect the divine within all things, and yada 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 yada. Well, I have my deep philosophical affinities. Even all of that feels confining. When I was in my philosophy classes in college, I was sitting at my desk with this intuitive, just like resistance. Because all of these universal philosophical debates, they just spiral on and on and on and on and stay trapped within the confines of the mind of which I am speaking. And that same uncertainty, and that same doubt, and that same inability to choose one path and universalize it, wherein all can agree. That's not my goal. My goal is union with the divine and the creation of ripples of light that emanate from that union, within, without. And for those ripples, and for those unions, and for the restructuring of reality that emanates as a natural consequence, or rather cause, within these phonetic emanations of who I am, via voice, via breath, via logos. For these to be sources of freedom in the world. Freedom understood. Freedom felt. Freedom somatically integrated within the fullness of our wild bodies, here in animal form. In a world whose animality is being suppressed. Yeah. So I'm just going to have to continue digging. And to do so not merely in a way that is philosophically axiomatic, to float within the aerial ethers of my mind, of my Chiron in Libra, which feels quite purgatorial. Which can be felt. Trinity. My purpose is freedom. My purpose is truth. My purpose is union with God. Somatically felt and universalized. So that my life itself, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat, moments by moments, day by day, is the unfurling of the axioms themselves into wings, into butterflies emerging from their cocoons within my being, and within beings whom I touch with my breaths. Artistic. Beings who are stuck within the confines of their own minds, of their own self-imposed sufferings, of their own beliefs in illusion, in their own beliefs that their cocoons are cages, so that they can feel the safety in the unfurling of their own wings. And in the freedom found in the flight back home to God within their hearts. In the end, perhaps it's not even about truth at all. If my mind is so uncertain about the truth, perhaps it is about a transmutation of uncertainty into art and into the feeling of liberation which art can offer. With the intention of that art as an act of prayer and of devotion to guide my heart, to guide my soul, to guide my will, and to guide my wings. Into universal truth, divinity, freedom, love, and the certainty which all of these provide. That's it. Thank you.